My name is Troy Blackstone. I'm 46 years old, and this is the story of how I turned the greatest betrayal of my life into a war for truth, justice, and my children. My wife didn't just cheat, she engineered my erasure. With the help of Blake Hoffman, a man I once called a friend, she aimed to take everything: my name, my fortune, and worst of all, my children. But the game they tried to play had rules they didn't understand because I wrote them. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe before we jump right in. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up next. Sitting in the dim glow of my basement office, the soft hum of servers around me, I watched a loop of high-definition surveillance footage I'd decrypted from Diana's encrypted laptop. She sat in a luxury hotel suite, draped in velvet and laughing as Blake poured champagne into her glass. Her hand lingered on his arm, her head tilted back like a woman who had already won. On her wrist, a diamond bracelet I hadn't bought. No audio was needed. I read Blake's lips clearly. A new life. 8 years of marriage dissolved into pixels. But it wasn't just betrayal lit with strategy. Diana wasn't impulsive. She was calculating. I switched screens to decrypted messages between her and Blake. One of them read, "The prenup won't matter if we prove he used company resources for surveillance. Your mother's connections guarantee full custody." Diana's reply, "Connor and Madison barely know him anyway. He chose work over family years ago." That one hit harder than any video. They weren't just cheating, they were rewriting my story, turning me into a villain in my children's eyes. Upstairs, the brownstone Diana decorated felt more like a museum than a home. Designer furniture. Art she picked. Italian rugs she insisted on. None of it was me. Even the family photos looked perfect, but they were hollow. Had any of it been real? I turned back to my desk and opened a thick folder from the drawer. Inside were bank statements, property records, and investigative files I'd been compiling for months, long before I had confirmation. Diana had trusted me with the finances blindly. The one part of our marriage she never questioned was about to become her most expensive mistake. The folder's top photo showed Diana and Blake at a gala, all smiles while secretly plotting to ruin me. I'd seen betrayal before in the military, in corporate security, but this was personal, and I wasn't going to fight with rage. I would fight with precision. I met Diana in 2013, fresh out of military intelligence. She was a rising real estate star, magnetic and driven. We married within a year. Friends called it reckless. My military buddies warned me, people that ambitious often want more than love. But I believed in her. 3 years later came the twins, Connor and Madison. For a while, life looked perfect. But Diana loved the lifestyle my work gave her more than the man who built it. While I spent sleepless nights protecting CEOs in volatile regions, she climbed the social ladder, rubbing shoulders with powerful people, always on the arm of someone important. She never understood the toll my work took. Late nights, emergency travel, quiet sacrifices. I missed birthdays, but never out of neglect. I was building security for all of us. But to Diana, I was just another piece on her chessboard. The cracks began small. Secretive texts, solo business trips, conversations that stopped when I entered the room. I tried to fight for us family dinners, little league games, bedtime stories, but every effort felt meaningless. By 2019, Diana wasn't hiding it anymore. Her ambition had turned ruthless. By 2020, even my closest friends were asking questions. And by then, I was digging. One quiet Sunday, I found the thread that unraveled everything. Sealed court documents involving Diana's mother, Judge Patricia Harrison. It turned out Patricia had buried a drunk driving case to protect her nephew after he killed a family of 4. The official record was fiction. The truth had been hidden under legal jargon and sealed files until now. Diana had always worshipped her mother's power, but that power was a loaded weapon, and I had just taken it. I didn't stop there. Gregory Harrison, Diana's father, was complicit to laundering money, political donations, payoffs to silence reporters. Over 2 weeks, I built a bulletproof case, cross-referenced, time-stamped, verified, then I waited for Diana to make her move. It came fast. Her lawyer, Lawrence Keir, slid papers across a table demanding full custody, the house, the cars, and a cut of my company. "Sign it or we go to court," he smirked. I glanced at the papers, then slid an envelope across the table. "Deliver this to your client," I said. Inside, evidence of every dark secret the Harrisons ever buried. The Moretti family case, the bribes, the offshore accounts. Lawrence went pale. Diana called me after midnight. Then Blake, then Patricia. When I finally answered, Patricia hissed, "You think you can threaten me?" I replied, "Not threats, facts. And if you don't give me what I asked for, I'll make sure the Morettis get the justice you denied them." My demands were simple. Diana signs over full custody. Blake sells back his shares in my company at the original price. And Patricia resigns before federal investigators get to her. The next day, I leaked just enough to journalists and prosecutors to make the Harrisons panic. Blake cracked first. His voicemails went from fury to begging. Diana broke next, showing up at my office, shaken and desperate. "You're ruining us," she whispered. I answered, "I'm protecting our children." A week later, we met in Keir's office. Diana signed everything custody, the business, the assets. When she was done, I asked her to say why she'd done it. She snapped, "You were never good enough for me. I married you because you were useful." I didn't flinch. I only said, "And yet, I just took everything you valued." Then I handed her one final envelope. Inside, photos of Blake with a much younger woman boarding a jet, draining offshore accounts. He was gone. Everything he promised her, gone too. Diana crumbled. And I walked out. No triumph, just justice. The fallout was swift. Patricia resigned. Gregory's empire collapsed under fraud investigations. Blake became a fugitive on international watch lists. Diana? She faded quietly, stripped of her lifestyle, abandoned by her allies, and working as a mid-level real estate agent in the suburbs. She was polite now, they said, humbled, but never powerful again. As for me, I didn't chase revenge. I rebuilt. My firm, Blackstone Security, thrived. Clients came back in droves. I hired trusted veterans, expanded operations, and finally had the chance to say no to contracts. My nights were no longer consumed by surveillance data. They were filled with dinners, homework, bedtime stories, and baseball in the yard. One Saturday afternoon, I stood on the porch, watching Connor and Madison play. Their laughter-free, unburdened was the only sound that mattered. They didn't know the war I fought, only that I had fought for them. I kept one photo of Diana in my office, not out of love, but as a reminder, trust is not a gift, it's earned. Betrayal may try to take everything from you, but sometimes it leaves behind exactly what you need. I didn't just survive. I reclaimed my life, quietly, permanently, and with honor intact.